Hello folks, it's the Pace Chaser again. Welcome to another one of my videos. This is part 7 of the series looking at photographs of the buses and coaches of East Yorkshire Motor Services. And this one will be looking at the 2000s, so that's the noughties, and the 2010s up to around 2018. I have got a couple of photographs after that time, and I've also got one from quite a long way before, but we'll see those in due course. In June 2018, Peter Shipp sold the company to the Go Ahead Group. Rumours of a sale had been circulating for years. In around 2013 there were strong rumours that First Group were poised to make a bid for the company, but in actual fact they had just bought Finglands of Manchester, the EYMS Group subsidiary over there, whilst Brian Souter of Stagecoach had long been expressing an interest in buying the company and bemoaning the fact that it wasn't for sale. By the time of the sale, Peter Shipp was beyond normal retirement age, and it was perfectly understandable that he should want to swap the stresses and strains of managing a modern day bus company for a well-earned retirement. Whilst enthusiasts were sad that the independent days were over, at least they could take comfort that Go Ahead would keep the identity of the company alive, and indeed they've invested heavily in the operation in the years up to the time I'm recording this video in May 2024. There have been lots of new buses and they've put a lot of money into refurbishing the existing fleet as well. So with the later exceptions, the couple of later exceptions, this video will look at the Peter Shipp years. I moved away from Hull in 1999, so many of the photographs we'll see are from my collection rather than being ones that I've taken. So we start with a number of views of the Alexander PS bodied Volvo B10Ms. This batch of buses was new to Stagecoach Manchester in 1994. Not the Stagecoach Manchester that still operates today, but a short-lived competitive venture that was part of Stagecoach Ribble, and was set up to run on Route 192 from Manchester to Stockport via Hazel Grove in competition with Greater Manchester Buses South. During 1995 the operation was scaled back, and in October of that year it was sold to Finglands, the EYMS Group Manchester subsidiary, the sale including 13 of the Volvos. This was to prove a preemptive sale, as in February 1996 Stagecoach bought Greater Manchester Buses South and soon afterwards renamed it Stagecoach Manchester, this being the operator that runs to this day. The buses acquired by Finglands had the orange, blue and red Stagecoach stripes overpainted in yellow, brown and a different shade of orange. In 1997, Fingland's operations on the 192 were cut back and 7 of the buses transferred to East Yorkshire, and they were joined in 2004 by the other 6. So the vehicle we've been looking at is 217, registered M417RRN, new as Ribble 417 and numbered 1417 with Finglands before transferring to the main fleet in 1997. These buses were well suited to the interurban routes of East Yorkshire, with relatively high back seats, smooth riding and a good turn of speed. And 217 was branded for the X46 Hull to York service for a while. However, by the time of this early 2000s, shot in Scarborough, it has received a later livery with a cream skirt and Scarborough and District fleet names. Alongside is Plaxton Paramount bodied Leyland Tiger 32 G432 MWU, new to Yorkshire Coastliner but acquired by East Yorkshire from Keighley District in 2001. After East Yorkshire service it was acquired by Lindbergh Touring of Sheffield in 2008. Both buses sport hinged down school bus signs, and 217 additionally has a very wonky route number sticker in the windscreen. Also at Scarborough is 219 M419RRN, another 1997 transfer to East Yorkshire after being Ribble 419 and Finglands 1419. It appears to have just transferred to the North Yorkshire depots. It's still carrying East Yorkshire fleet names. Note that the original glass destination area panel has been replaced by a smaller gasket mounted glass fixed onto solid panelling, which has been painted in cream, giving an unusual effect. Alongside is Dennis Dart 307 T307 JRH, the last of a batch of 5 new in 1999. Scarborough's first low floor darts 262, 263 and 264 had arrived in 1996 to partially convert the Eastfield routes 7 and 17 to low floor operation, and the 1999 darts allowed the process to be completed. 307 later went to Bridlington and then to Hull, where it survived until around 2018. Although popular buses, the Volvos were step entrants, so as the 2000s wore on they were replaced with low floor buses. Too good to waste, several were put to use as driver training vehicles, and here we see the former 220, one-time Ribble 420 and Finglands 1420 as driver trainer 9910. Previously M420 RRN, it's been re-registered 46 EYB by the time of this photograph. As mentioned in the last part of the series, the driver training buses carried the EYMS Group fleet names so as to be able to work for any subsidiary as required, and this can be seen on the yellow livery of 9910. Later on, the training buses received this white, maroon and blue livery as sported by 9910 in a view at the yard of Livery Road Garage in Hull. A selection of other vehicles can be seen, including a right eclipse-bodied Volvo B9 RLE, immediately next to 9910, right Merit 245 FJ53 LZW in the background, an MCV Evolution-bodied Volvo B7 RLE to the right of the picture. This dates the photo to at least 2014 and shows just how long the Volvos lasted in training use. A Plaxton President-bodied Volvo B7TL is behind the MCV. 245 was interesting. The right Merit was actually a right cadet-bodied VDL SB120, debadged for sale by Volvo, who would discontinue their own minibus chassis, the B6 BLE. East Yorkshire had two ex-demonstration buses which worked for the Midland subsidiary Whittles for a time, before transferring back to the parent fleet in 2010. Initially East Yorkshire fleet number 337 when first purchased, this bus became fleet number 77 with Whittles and took the number 245 on return to East Yorkshire, as its original fleet number had been taken by Volvo B7 RLE. Note that 9910 has acquired the name Busby by this time. Last of the 1997 transfers was ex-Ribble 421, Fingland's 1421, which became 221 with East Yorkshire. M421 RRN is seen wearing Scarborough District fleet names at Livery Road, Hull, whilst parts in the company of SCC bodied Dennis Dart 318, which we'll see later. Bristol VR Tree Lopper 8833, VDV 136S, formerly 636 in the operational fleet, and a Plaxton Paramount bodied coach. One of the 2004 transfers was 226 M426 RRN, seen here in Scarborough in the company of Dennis Dart SLFs 307 and 318. .226 is seen again opposite Scarborough Railway Station with the blind set for the same route as in the previous photo. It was formerly Ribble 426 and Fingland's 1426. Coming out of fleet number order slightly, we see driver train at 9914 95 EYM, formerly fleet number 216 and registered M416 RRN. Initially named Budgie when converted to a training bus, it has lost the name by the time of this shot at Livery Road, with the bus sandwiched between an Opta XL and an Alexander ALX 300 bodied vehicle, either a Volvo or a MAN. Another Scarborough view now, this time of Opta Prisma bodied Mercedes 0405 285 P285WAT taking centre stage. New in May 1997, it was initially a Hull bus before transferring to Scarborough, where despite serving for a number of years it retained East Yorkshire fleet names as seen here. By 2015 it was working for Lawtons of Stickney in Lincolnshire, re-registered L20 EXE but retaining East Yorkshire livery. Next to 285 is the first of the 1999 batch of Dennis Dart's 303 T303 JRH, and 1986 Mercedes L608D C413 VVN. Formerly minibus 413, the vehicle had by now been converted to a pickup truck cum tow wagon numbered 8830. Here is a better view of SCC bodied Dennis Dart SLF 318 S789 NRV. The bus was new to Frodingham Coaches of North Frodingham in January 1999 and was acquired by East Yorkshire with the Frodingham business in 2001. Put into the main fleet, it operated in Scarborough as seen here and later at Bridlington and Hull. In September 1999, Fingland's took delivery of two integral Mercedes 0405 low-floor buses. They were transferred to East Yorkshire in the early noughties before going to Whittles for a number of years. Transferred back to the main fleet, they settled in Scarborough, where we see the first of the pair, 331 V428 DNB, new as Fingland's 1428. The buses were new with winder blinds but have been fitted with electronic units by the time of this picture. Note Plaxton President bodied Volvo B70 L670 in 80 years of East Yorkshire commemorative livery behind. New with registration YY52 LCK in October 2002, The bus was re-registered 80 EYC upon receipt of this livery in 2006. It carried the scheme for many years, although undated, this photo is from the 2010s. Towards the end of the Peter Ship era, East Yorkshire experimented with different versions of its livery. 348 YX56 FHR demonstrates a single-deck version, in this view with the bus park at Hull interchange taken in 2019. Next to it a Volvo B9 TL 776 YX59 FHC and 787 YX08 FWF, both showing off one of the double-deck versions. 776 with Wright Gemini 2 bodywork was new to East Yorkshire in January 2010, whereas 787 with Wright Eclipse Gemini body had been new in May 2008 to Finglands as their fleet number 1793, although as can be seen their buses were being registered in Hull by that date. In 2013 East Yorkshire had reached agreement with First Group for the latter to purchase Fingland's services and depot but not the vehicles. First took over in February 2014, at which point the remaining Fingland's buses, including 1793, were transferred to the main East Yorkshire fleet. Wright Eclipse Urban bodied Volvo B7 RLE 348 was new in November 2006, and at the time of recording this video in May 2024 is the last of its type still in service with East Yorkshire, albeit by now carrying the go-ahead style livery, which we'll see later on. As documented in the television series On the Yorkshire Buses, money was sometimes tight towards the end of the Peter Ship era. To enable a reasonable number of new buses to be purchased, the company took a quantity of ex-dealer stock single-deckers. These were vehicles that had been built speculatively by manufacturers and passed on to dealers who, if the buses remained on the books for a while, would offer them for sale at a reduced rate. One such batch was 4 Alexander Dennis Enviro 239-seaters, which came in 2014, the last of which was 381 YX14 RXH, seen here behind Allaby Road Garage when still quite new. Note the Whittle livery Dennis Dart in the yard across the road. During the period that EYMS owned Whittles between 2004 and 2014, interfleet transfers became commonplace. It's likely that this Dart has been transferred north just prior to the sale of the Whittle operations to Johnson's of Henley and Arden. Another 2014 batch of dealer specification buses were 4 Volvo B7 RLEs with MCV Evolution bodywork. The last of them, 385 YX14 HDZ, delivered in May 2014, is seen here prior to entering service and still awaiting fleet names and numbers. Next to 385 is a rare Enterprise Plasma, sold in the UK as the Plaxton Primo. 6 were delivered new to East Yorkshire in 2006, and the last of the batch was this vehicle, 501 YX06 HVO. The 6 worked in Bridlington and in Hull, and despite having a reputation for unreliability elsewhere, East Yorkshire seemed to take to these 28-seaters. This one managed 10 years service before being sold on to Royce Coaches of Findon, Northamptonshire, but several of the batch managed longer than that with East Yorkshire. One of the first signs of the go-ahead takeover was a new livery involving swirls of beige and red on a cream and maroon background, as modelled here by 393 BU16 OYF, seen at Cleethorpes railway station on rail replacement duties in 2021. Ahead of 393 can be seen the rear of a Catano Levante coach in the go-ahead style East Yorkshire Coaches livery. 393 was delivered in March 2016, and although it had an identical MCV Evolution body to that on 385, which we've just seen, the chassis was a Volvo B8 RLE rather than a B7. The new livery was something of a shock to the system when it appeared, although having got used to it I quite like it now. One of my mates was not impressed, however. His reaction at the first sight of it was, "What the hell is that?" Once again coming out of fleet number order for a moment, we take a closer look at the coach version of the go-ahead livery. Here sported by Catano Levante bodied Volvo B9R 82 in Osborne Street, Grimsby, whilst waiting to load for National Express Service 151 to Birmingham. Delivered in October 2013 as YY63 OAN, by the time of this March 2024 photograph the vehicle was carrying the registration A20 EYC. As mentioned earlier, and in part 6 of this series, East Yorkshire had purchased a number of low-floor Dennis Darts in 1996 and 1999. 2000 saw the arrival of no fewer than 21 of the MPD mini pointer Dart version, in other words an 8.8 metre long chassis fitted with Plaxton pointer bodywork seating 28. Most of the batch went new to Scarborough to replace step entrance minibuses on the town network, including 469 W469 UAG, seen near Scarborough Depot. Last of the 2000 deliveries was 481 W481 UAG, also seen in Scarborough Depot. I was a big fan of the MPD darts. With a nimble performance and the small size, it was like riding round in a go-kart. Although appearing to have manually wound blinds, they were actually worked by electric motor controlled from a keypad in the cab. Nine more MPDs came in 2001, followed by 4 in 2002, the penultimate of which was 493 YY52 KXL, seen in Bridlington bus station. These vehicles had Euro 4 engines and emitted a strange but pleasant growling sound in place of the fast and furious noise of the earlier batches. As can be seen, they also had conventional electronic blinds. They were some of the first vehicles to feature the East Yorkshire bespoke ship maquette, which featured sailing ships in various colours on a maroon background, and this can be seen clearly through the side windows. By the 2000s, the minibus numbering series that had been started at 406 with the ex-United Mercedes 608Ds in 1986 had passed the 500 mark, a number series previously associated with double-deckers. January 2017 saw the delivery of 507 YY66 PGV, a 30-seat Alexander Dennis Enviro 200 MMC, complete with ship maquette to the interior. It's seen in Scarborough running in on town service too. The livery looks slightly odd when mixed with the black painted feature panels that were part of the MMC design. A selection of vehicles inside Scarborough Depot now. On the right is Alexander AV bodied Volvo Citybus 542 F242 MBA. This vehicle was new to Finglands in April 1989 and passed into EYMS Group ownership in 1992 along with the Finglands Company. Around 2006 it was transferred to East Yorkshire primarily for schools duties, and it's now preserved back in Manchester. 892 F608 GVO in the centre was new to Trent in January 1989 and was also an Alexander bodied Volvo Citybus. It was acquired by EYMS for Finglands in around the early 2000s before coming across to East Yorkshire in 2006 and being converted to open top for the Scarborough Seafront service. The city buses were chosen for this as they had 47 seats upstairs as opposed to 43 on the Bristol VRs and 36 on the Route Masters that they replaced. Obviously most people wish to sit upstairs on an open topper, so the more seats there are on the top deck the better. 542 was spared open top conversion as it was considered historically significant, being the first and only new double decker purchased by Finglands before EYMS took them over. Also converted to open top because of its top deck capacity, in this case a whopping 49 seats, was Alexander bodied Atlantean 890 AVK 177V, seen on the left. New to Town and Way PTE in August 1980 as fleet number 177, the bus was acquired for Finglands in the 1990s. In 1999 it transferred to East Yorkshire as a high capacity school bus before being converted to open top in 2002. We discussed the bow tie as modelled by 892 in the last part of this series, but just to recap, it was introduced to enable passengers to identify the Scarborough and District bus in the throng of different operators and liveries to be seen on Scarborough Seafront. Appleby's operated until their demise in 2001, leaving Scarborough and District and Shoreline Sun Cruisers to battle it out. However, many of the vehicles of both operators carried overall advertisements making identification difficult for intending punters. And there have also been various other firms that have started up on Scarborough Seafront for short periods of time in the time since 2001 up to the present date. We met the lovely long wheelbase Cummins engine Lane Olympians of 1990 in part 5 of this series, and here is 548 H548 VAT, looking resplendent except for a hideous replacement grille made of a mesh material and spoiling its otherwise elegant Northern Counties bodywork. It is standing in the bus parking area of the temporary bus station in Hull, which was centred around Bond Street and operated from 2003 until 2007 whilst work was undertaken to build a new bus interchange and St Stephen's shopping centre on the site of the former 1930s open bus station and KHCT garage. Next to 548 is another Northern Counties bodied Olympian in the fleet of Stagecoach in Hull. The standard wheelbase Gardner engined Olympians also worked steadily on into the new millennium, And here we see 1991's 555 H155BKH in a Scarborough depot view. During the late 90s, the original dot matrix electronic blinds in the Northern Counties Olympians were replaced with electronically wound roller blinds as seen here. Sister vehicle 554 H154BKH shows the rear aspect of these vehicles on the left of the photo, whilst the 555's near side is ex-Eastbourne Olympian 619 E854DPN. A Plaxton Paramount coach in the background completes a quartet of classic vehicles. Leyland had been purchased by Volvo in the late 1980s, and so in the early to mid-90s the Olympian was rebranded from a Leyland product to a Volvo one. East Yorkshire's first Volvo Olympians were a batch of 6 delivered in 1995, with Northern Counties bodywork to Palatine 2 design, an updated version of the body seen on 548 and 555, which retrospectively became known as the Palatine 1. They had Volvo engines and were absolute flying machines. Witherance's 588 and 588 BRH is seen passing Queen's Gardens in Hull, whilst bound for Heddon on Route 277. This will become a 78 in Heddon and work back into Hull via Pole, forming a circular service. 588 carries the classic line branding, more usually associated with the long wheel-based, low-height, Alexander-bodied Volvo Olympians, which were delivered later in 1995 and which were met in the previous instalment of this series. On the longer Alexander buses, Patterington was also mentioned on the side, but the shorter length of 588 means that this village has to be omitted in this case. The changing face of Hull can be seen behind the bus, with new buildings housing the BBC prominent. One of the classic line Alexander-bodied Volvo Olympians is seen here, though by this stage 594 and 594 BRH has lost its branding and found itself working in Scarborough. Most of this batch ended up working for Finglands, but 594 stuck with East Yorkshire and Scarborough and District until sold to Harper Coaches of Derby. It then passed an operator called Red Bus Days based in Keighley, West Yorkshire. The former 413 photo bombs again on the right of the shot, whilst to the left is Volvo Olympian 635 S635 MKH. This batch were delivered in 1998 and several of them carried the traditional blue and primrose livery for Hull routes 56 and 56A when new. The Northern Counties bodies on them were to the Palatine 1 design rather than to the Palatine 2 of the 1995 buses. As can be seen, by 1998 the Palatine 1 had been modified to include sloping tops to the upper deck front windows, giving a raised eyebrow effect. Having purchased low-floor single-deckers in the form of Dennis Dart SLFs and Opta XLs for East Yorkshire and Mercedes 0405s for Finglands, a start was made in 2000 on purchasing low-floor double-deckers. Both East Yorkshire and Finglands received 2 Plaxton President bodied Volvo B70Ls each and 2 Dennis Tridents with Alexander ALX 400 bodies each for evaluation. The Volvo Plaxton combination won out. The second of East Yorkshire's trial B70Ls was 659 W659 WKH, seen here leaving the new Hull interchange for Wold Road in 2019 after almost 2 decades of service. The bus carries one of the livery variations instigated in the later days of Peter Ship's control. Whilst individually smart, the effect of multiple livery variations passing by was not particularly pleasing and gave the company the air of a small independent operating from the backyard of someone's house, rather than a large and proud operator, although if all the buses had carried the version shown on 659 it would have been good. Perhaps if Peter Ship had done another year or two. Many operators commemorated 60 years of Queen Elizabeth II's rule in 2012 by painting buses in special liveries, and East Yorkshire was no exception. The recipient was Right Eclipse Gemini-bodied Volvo B70L 713 YX06CXO, delivered in 2006 and seen here attending a rally with a Travel Coventry MCW Metrobus in the background. In the 2010s, the bus services along the Hull University corridor were given distinctive branding, and the buses that operated them received a striking purple and white livery, as seen on 771 YX59 FGU, seen exiting Hull interchange on a 103 to the University Halls of Residence at the Lawns, Cottingham. The bus is a Wright Gemini 2-bodied Volvo B9 TL, one of 10 delivered in January 2010, and looking resplendent in this 2019 photograph. Another of the same batch and pictured in the same place is 773 YX59FGZ, but this vehicle carries standard fleet colours and is seen heading for Withensea on Route 76. The ship maquette is clearly visible through the windows. Another Wright Gemini 2-bodied Volvo B9 TL, but in this case delivered in May 2014, is 780 YX14HEJ, which in this 2017 shot appears to be in Scarborough heading for Bridlington and Hull on Route 121. This batch had plain maroon maquette as opposed to the ship pattern, presumably to save money. Third in the trio of Volvo B9 Wright Gemini 2s is 792 BP15OLG, new in June 2015. This batch of 3 had a plain maquette seen on 780 and also featured white destination blinds. As can be seen, 792 carries cheerful branding for Route X46 Hull to York. It is seen heading for the parking area at Hull Interchange, having just run in from another trip down the A1079. These buses were registered by Volvo in the Birmingham area, hence the unfamiliar registration. Another Volvo B9 TL was the next vehicle in the fleet, 793 BP15OLH, again registered in Birmingham. Delivered in July 2015, this vehicle features an Egyptian-built MCV body to the Evo SETI design. In due course it will be route branded for the X46 in a similar way to 792, but it's seen here when new without branding in Station Avenue, York, setting off for Hull. To comply with Department of Transport regulations, the X46 is technically split into 2 routes, although the vehicle works through and through fares are available. This is dealt with on the blind of 793 very comprehensively, the display reading Market Wheaton then Hull via Pocklington. This will be changed at Market Wheaton to the Hull via Beverley display seen previously on 792. P994 AFV was a Dennis Dart SLF with East Lancashire bodywork, delivered to Meteor Parking as an airport car park shuttle bus in May 1997. A few years later it was acquired by East Yorkshire for use as an exhibition bus and given a fleet number 8879 in the ancillary vehicle fleet. As can be seen in this view at Allaby Road Garage, it was operated in conjunction with Hull City Council and carried the EYMS Group logo, although after the sales of Finglands and Whittles in 2014 the active companies in the group consisted of East Yorkshire and Scarborough District. The right-bodied Volvo B7 RLE alongside carries promotional branding for a fares offer. We now have a number of photographs of the Scarborough Seafront open toppers, beginning with MCW-bodied Leyland Atlantean 889 VFT 189T. This vehicle had an interesting history. It was new to Tyne and Wear PTE in July 1979 as fleet number 189. In 1982 the PTE decided that it had bought too many vehicles and transferred 50 of them to the local National Bus Company subsidiary Northern General, including 189, the bus becoming Northern fleet number 3689. In around 1992 it was sold to Thornton Dale Coaches of Pickering, who in the same year were purchased by East Yorkshire. VFT 189T then became 889 in the Scarborough District fleet. As a long wheelbase vehicle similar to AVK 177V that we saw earlier, 889 was a useful school bus with its 86 seats and gave 10 years of ordinary service before being converted to open top in 2002. Again, having 49 seats on the top deck made it ideal for the purpose. In this photo taken in Scarborough Depot, the bus carries an all-over advertising livery for Flamingo Land, but is not carrying its bow tie, although the marks to the paintwork at the front where this has been can be seen. The bus carried the name Belinda for a number of seasons, this being displayed on the bow tie. We met the ex-Trent Volvo City buses earlier on, and here is another 894 F610 GVO, new as Trent 610 and acquired by the EYMS Group for Finglands, being fleet number 1706 in that fleet before passing to Scarborough. Converted to open top in 2007, it carried an all-over advert for the comically named Winking Willie's Fish and Chip restaurant and was suitably named Willie, the name being carried on the bow tie. And next we've got a near-side view of the same bus. Note the board in the windscreen in both of these views, this overcoming the problem of no destination being displayed on account of the bow tie. Trent 611 became Finland's 1707 before making its way to Scarborough as 895. F611 GVO was another Volvo city bus and is seen here on Scarborough Seafront carrying an advert for Haven Holiday Parks. As with 894, the front remains in fleet livery as a further aid to identification in addition to the bow tie. In this case, the destination is Corner Cafe at the north end of the Seafront route, the spa being the southern terminus. G618 OTV was new as Trent 618, then Finland's 1718 and Scarborough and District 896. It is seen here in Scarborough Depot carrying a pleasing version of the coach livery and looking very smart with its bow tie proudly in place. Vehicle 897 was also a Volvo city bus, but this time with Northern Counties bodywork as opposed to the Alexander product seen on the previous vehicles. New to London General in June 1990 as VA128 and registered G128PGK, it later passed the Pete's Travel of West Bromwich, who converted it to open top in 2003. By 2004 it had been acquired by East Yorkshire, there seemingly being little demand for an open top bus in the West Midlands. East Yorkshire re-registered the vehicle 897 EYX, a registration previously carried by a Bristol RE exhibition bus. 897 is seen here being fuelled at Scarborough Depot, carrying an advert for Bamford's Fish and Chips and named Billy on its rather jazzy version of the bow tie. So we're coming towards the end of the video now, and I want to leave you with a comparison. I thought I'd do a comparison shot in place of the normal views of timetables and things. So firstly, we've got a gorgeous 1950 photograph taken in Rugia Street in York and showing East Yorkshire 311 CKH 239, a 1937 Leyland TS7 Tiger with Eastern Coachworks bodywork loading for Leeds and seemingly being duplicated by the West Yorkshire Bristol single decker behind. The West Yorkshire bus is showing the route number 46, but East Yorkshire vehicles were still not capable of displaying route numbers at this time. A York West Yorkshire Bristol GO5G with Eastern Counties body and new in 1935 is seen overtaking. At this point East Yorkshire was just 24 years old. Moving forward no less than 74 years and moving around the corners of Station Avenue, York, we see 814 BF67GHZ, a Volvo B9 TL with MCV Evo Setti bodywork. On the 8th of April 2024, East Yorkshire took over some North Yorkshire contracted services from York towards Easingwold and Malton and introduced the fleet name North Riding for vehicles used on these services. An 814 is seen on the first morning displaying the new identity on its go-ahead livery. As I record this video in May 2024, there were 2 years until East Yorkshire reaches its 100th anniversary, and I would imagine that Go Ahead will mark the event in some way. That brings us to the end of the video, and for the moment the end of this series, although I'm always collecting photographs of East Yorkshire buses, and if I get enough usable ones I will look at doing a follow-up video in the future. I might also do another one featuring my photographs of the Go Ahead era in due course. I hope you've enjoyed watching as much as I've enjoyed compiling the programmes. As I've mentioned before, my late father drove for East Yorkshire from 1963 to 1995, and he used to ride around on his bus on frequent occasions, as well as relying on the buses of East Yorkshire for transport until he moved away from Hull, and even then I used them regularly when visiting my dad. It's been really good to look through my photographs and relive the memories. If buses in the East Riding are your thing, then please check out my series on the photographs of Kingston upon Hull City Transport, KHCT. I'll put a link to part 1 of that series in the description of this video, and the links to the other parts can be found from there onwards. There are 3 parts in all. Also check out the other parts in this series if you haven't done so already. Again, I'll put links in the description to part 1 and to the previous instalment, part 6, and then there's links to the other videos in the series in the description of those videos. But for now, thank you as always for watching. Please like and subscribe if you have enjoyed the video, and take care of yourselves. I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.